hug him and hold him tight and hold his hands and kiss them. Just hello guys, what's up? I'm back with another video. So I'm here today to do the mid-year book freakout tag, and if you don't know what that is, let me explain to the best of my abilities. So the mid-year book freakout tag is a tag wherein you will look back on how your year has been so far in reading, and I guess there are some questions on what comes next or what you're looking forward to for the rest of the year in terms of reading. So that's basically what the mid-year book freakout tag is. Anyway, so I have a series of questions here. I'm holding my iPad right now because I'm using my phone to film. Hi, hello, how are ya?
Hello, Zuko here.
Question number 1. Best book you've read so far in 2020. This is hard. Okay, so I'm going to pick one contemporary and one fantasy because I really can't pick one of these two because both were like, whoa, hold up. For my contemporary, I'd have to say Felix Ever After by Kayson Callender, because if you read my review, that book was just, it was just, I loved it so much. For my fantasy, I'll have to say House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. Okay, so if you don't know, I love Sarah J. Maas. I love her books. I don't love ACOTAR that much, but the Throne of Glass series. The Throne of Glass series, man. So when I read House of Earth and Blood, I was not disappointed. Like, that world building, how she's able to draw you to a character who's barely even there for like 90% of the book, yet you love this character. You're like, oh, wait, how am I so attached to you when I barely even saw you in the book? Best sequel you've read so far in 2020. So I read a whole bunch of series so far since I had a lot of time during the first few months of the lockdown, because I read series in its entirety this year. I didn't like pick up a series that I read last year, if you get what I'm talking about. I didn't continue anything so far from like a previous year. I've just been binge reading entire series. So far I've read ACOTAR, Harry Potter, The Chronicles of Narnia. I forgot what this duology is called. The Strange the Dreamer duology by Laini Taylor. And The Queen of the Tear Lane trilogy. Is that all the series I've read this year? Okay, I've also read Lord of the Rings, but only Hobbit and Fellowship of the Ring so far. So not exactly a sequel. Anyway, so the best sequel I've read so far this year is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Yeah, I enjoyed Harry Potter this year. And the thing is, I've only actually read Harry Potter now, this year. I mean, I've watched the movies way before, but it's only now that I've read the entire series. And did I fall in love with it? No, not exactly. But do I understand why people love it so much? Yes. Yes, I do. Moving on from that. Number 3. New release you haven't read yet, but want to. I'd have to say All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson? Yes, Johnson. All Boys Aren't Blue is actually a memoir. It's a memoir about this journalist and LGBTQ plus activist. I've been reading a lot of memoirs this year, well, listening to, because I've been listening to the audiobooks, So for this one to be in so many people's list of best LGBTQ plus reads to read this year, I'm getting on that train. I don't know, I'm really interested in reading it. And so many of my friends have been hyping it up as well. Booktubers I follow, bookstagrammers, people on book Twitter, everyone's raving about it, and I'd love to understand why. Number 4, most anticipated release for the second half of the year. What is coming out this year? I'm just gonna Google. I found this website that had a list of books that are coming out this year, and I find this really interesting. It's called Recipe for a Perfect Wife by Karma Brown. And the summary goes: what could a modern woman possibly learn about marriage and fighting the patriarchy from a 1950s housewife? When Alice Hale leaves New York for the suburbs and finds an old cookbook from her home's previous owner, she discovers more than a recipe for meatloaf. If that's not interesting, then I don't know what is. Also, based on the summary, I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of historical themes in this book. And since I don't actually know much about the feminist movement, then I'm pretty excited. So yeah, that's gonna go on my anticipated list, if there even is a list, because I literally just had to Google. Anyway, number 5, biggest disappointment. Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. John Green doesn't exactly write the best books, but in one way or another, it does leave an impact, at least on me. So the fact that I can't even remember the name of the main character, I just... no. Number 6, biggest surprise. Another disappointment I had was Beach Read by Emily Henry. I normally don't read romance books or like chick lit, I guess, but I am part of this Filipino book club named Bibliophile Guild PH, and that was the book chosen for our May book of the month, and I think I rated it like 2 stars because, let's just say, the title, for one, is very misleading, and 2, I don't know, it had a very weird depiction of how 2 writers who write 2 very opposite genres treat each other, and I find it very strange. There's a lot more to it than that, but it was a disappointment for me. Oh my god, another disappointment was Furyborn, and there were a lot of disappointments this year. I'm surprised.
If you could describe the season finale of Game of Thrones in one word, how would you describe it?
Disappointing.
I was also really disappointed with Furyborn by Claire Legrand. I read Furyborn and its sequel, Kingsbane, and the 3rd book I think is coming out this year. Oh, I guess that's an anticipated read for the year then. Both books disappointed me. I was hoping that Kingsbane would make up for the disappointment that Furyborn made, but it didn't. But I am going to put the next book into my anticipated reads for the rest of 2020 list, because I will admit I am curious to see how this plays out, because the plot really is interesting, okay? It's a very interesting plot. It's just the characters do nothing for me, and I think also the writing, I'm not hooked on it or anything, and like it was a disappointment. Biggest surprise. I think my biggest surprise would have to be the music of What Happens by Bill Konigsberg. Prior to that, I think I've only seen this book like maybe once or twice on Bookstagram, and I didn't really hear people talk about it, but the cover kind of like just drew me in and I had to buy it. I read it and I fell absolutely in love with it. Like, if I hadn't read Felix Ever After, the music of What Happens would have been my favorite book. And also another surprise was The Poet X, because I do know a lot of people rave about it, but I never actually knew what it was about. So I didn't realize that The Poet X was a book written in a poem format. I forgot what the term for that is. But the thing is, I don't normally read poems, nor do I read books written like a poem, if that makes sense. So I was kind of surprised when I played the audiobook and whoa, okay, it's in poems, so okay, this should be interesting. And oh my god, I fell in love. I feel like if I hadn't listened to the audiobook, I might not have loved it as much. But like, the reader, the voice actress, how she wrote it and how it meshed with what was written. It was basically music. It was beautiful. And like the story itself, how it was so clearly written with like poems. I was honestly thinking that things were gonna be vague, because really the last time I read a poem, I'm pretty sure it was a Langleaf book, like 4 years ago, but I was not disappointed. So yeah, I consider The Poet X to be one of my biggest surprise this year. Favorite new author, debut or new to you? Elizabeth Acevedo, because of The Poet X. Newest fictional crush? I have three candidates for my fictional crush. My first being Draco Malfoy. I think it's the blonde hair, I don't know. And he deserved so much more. Hermione deserved happen. Okay? Baby boy. Draco deserved a redemption arc. He deserved a redemption arc. That arc was, the seeds for that arc was planted in book 6, in The Half-Blood Prince. And JKR just, she didn't let the seeds grow. It's like she planted the seeds when she wrote book 6.
What is a legacy? It's planting seeds in a garden you never get to see.
And then when the time came for her to write book 7, she dug out the seeds and just yanked it out. Another candidate for my fictional crush. As much of a disappointment this book was, I'd have to say Augustus from Beach Read. Why? I am a sucker for the guy who's a little mysterious and somewhat artsy, and he is a writer. So Augustus, his genre and the things he writes about are really interesting. It's in the story that these two characters, Augustus and whatever her face was, that they do practical research for their books. And what Augustus does for his research just blew me out of my mind. And third, I'd have to say Azriel from the ACOTAR series.
Oh my god, even his shadow! Look at his shadow!
I love him so much. He's so pure. I swear to God, I was so scared the entire time that he was gonna die. Oh my god. I was so scared. Everyone else could die and I wouldn't care as long as Azriel didn't. I loved Azriel that much. Azriel was my baby boy. You can just hug him and hold him tight and hold his hands and kiss them. Just... Okay, so those are my 3 fictional crushes. So clearly I'm single, so guys, A newest favorite character. I'd have to say Bryce Quinlan from The House of Earth and Blood, because I am a sucker for female lead characters who can look hot as yet be bad ass. If you've seen my Nolly Metangere review, you know what I'm talking about. Book that made you cry. Did anything make me cry this year? Oh my god, yes. Felix Ever After made me cry. That's all I'm gonna say. Felix Ever After. Book that made you happy. Also Felix Ever After. The music of What Happens as well. Also, I just want to go back to question number 7. Favorite new author, debut, or new to you? I would also have to say Randy Rebay. There's a little bias there because I'm a Filipino and Randy Rebay is a Filipino, but I want to read more from him. He only has 1 book so far. Hi, sorry, just to clarify, he actually has more than 1 book. He has 2 other books, which I only found out after I filmed this video. Thank you. Which is The Patron Saints of Nothing. This book brought to light the events that are happening here in the Philippines in terms of politics and social justice. So I'd love to see what more he can do with the platform and the talent he has. Most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received? House of Earth and Blood. Have you seen the cover? It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And also, I have to say, Fury Born in Kingsbane. It's not as beautiful as House of Earth and Blood, but I did buy it based on the cover. And I was disappointed in the end. Beautiful cover sells. People, it sells. And I'm a sucker for it. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? I want to finish Les Miserables by the end of the year. If I can finish Les Miserables, and then I have tackled my biggest challenge for the year, because I initially intended to read 20 pages every day for 3 months. 3 months? Yeah. And I stopped after like 2 weeks because I could not keep up with that schedule. Well, I could. It got tiring really fast, but I will read it. I will finish it by the end of the year. I will. I will finish it by the end of the year. I will. I will. And yeah, that's it. That's all 13 questions for the mid-year book freakout tag. Yay! So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you learned a thing or 2 more about me. And yeah, hope you like the video. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so that you're notified every time I upload a new video. So yeah, thanks guys. Bye.